We're going to spend the next several videos talking about the quadratic function. Now, there's several different ways that we can write a quadratic function. We can write it in standard form. That's this first one over here on the left. And that's just y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. We use it in this form like when we want to use the quadratic formula. It's just often in that form. The one that we've looked at more recently is the vertex form. And we looked at this when we dealt with our transformations, okay? So remember what's happening in the parentheses is moving it left or right. This k is moving it up or down. And so the really nice thing about the vertex form is you can see the vertex. hk is the vertex. And then we also have factored form. And you did this in Algebra 1 where you went from this quadratic standard form into factored form. We'll do that again soon. But today I just want to focus on the vertex form, okay? So the vertex form has a lot of different interesting things that we can just pull out of it. It tells us some key features about the graph. So the first thing it tells us is obviously the vertex, okay? The vertex is hk. So just by looking at the equation, we know where the vertex of the parabola is. The axis of symmetry always runs through the vertex. So x equals h is the axis of symmetry. We know if a, that first number out in front, is less than 0, if it's negative, our parabola is going to open down. And if a is positive, our parabola is going to open up. If the absolute value of a is greater than 1, so if you have like a 2 or a 3 or a 4 or something like that out there, it is going to be thinner than usual. And if the absolute value of a is between 0 and 1, so like 1/2 or 1/4 or something like that, it is going to be wider than usual. Now, all of these other things we will get to eventually. We'll get to the other forms eventually. We're going to spend a lot of time switching between the different forms too, because each form tells us something a little bit different. So if you want to get from vertex form to one of the other ones, usually we go from vertex form to standard form. What you're going to have to do is FOIL. So we would FOIL out this part, the x minus h times x minus h, and then we would distribute the a, and then we would combine like terms. And we'll see one of those here in a little bit. But that's how you move from vertex form to standard form and so on. And we'll talk about the other ones on a different video. So I want to just show you this on Desmos, just to remind ourselves what all of these things do. So over here on Desmos, I've got just the vertex form, y equals a x minus h squared plus k. And then Desmos asks if you want to add sliders, and I do. I'm just going to hit all. And now we can see what happens. So first, I'm going to change the h. And remember, adjusting that h value is going to move it left and right, because that happens inside the parentheses. And then if I want to change the k, remember that moves it up and down. So we can see that. And then the last thing is the a value. You can change that. You just have to click and drag on it. So remember, a bigger a value, sorry about that, is going to make it skinnier. And then an a value between 0 and 1 is going to make it wider. And then once we hit negatives, it's going to flip over and be reflected. Okay. So those are transformations, and we talked about all of those before. So we want to just kind of practice with this, write some equations. So we want the equation of a quadratic function with the vertex, -2, 3, and a y-intercept of 1. So basically what we want to do is we want to get this vertex form. We want to find out the values of h, k, and a. That is our goal. So a couple of these we know right away. Okay, the vertex is h and k, so those are right here. So we can go ahead and plug those in. Now we don't know a yet, but x minus h, so it's going to be the opposite of h, so +2, and then k is 3. Now we still need to find a value for a. We don't know a, but we do know that the y-intercept is -1. Now, when we have a y-intercept, that means the x value is 0. So we know that this parabola goes through the point 0, -1. So what we can do is we can plug that in for x and y, and we'll figure out what a is. So I'm going to plug -1 in for y. Now I don't know what a is. I'm going to plug in 0 for x. We've already decided what h and k are. Oh, that was supposed to be a 3. Sorry about that. And now we're just going to solve this equation. So we get -1 equals, here in the parentheses, 0 plus 2 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. So we get 4a plus 3. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Get -4 equals 4a. And then finally divide both sides by 4, and we get a equals -1. So then, remember, we'll come back over here. We said we didn't know what a was. We're going to plug in -1 right there. And that's it. That's the equation of the parabola that we wanted. Let's see another example of this. So we want to write the equation of the parabola with vertex 1, -4 that passes through the point -2, -1. So our goal is to get this in vertex form. Here's vertex form. We need to figure out what a, h, and k are. A couple of those things we know. Okay, h and k are the vertex, so we know that that's these two numbers. So let's plug those in. Y equals a, x, it's the opposite of h, so -1. And then k is -4. Now, we still need to figure out what a is. So we don't have a, but what we do have is this point xy. So we'll come over here. We're going to plug in that point xy into our equation. So y is -1. We're trying to figure out a. X is -2. And we already know h and k. So we're just going to plug all that in and solve for a. Okay, here in the parentheses, we get -2 minus 1, which is -3. And -3 squared is 9. So this is 9a minus 4. I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Sorry, that got really sloppy there. So when we add 4 to both sides, that gives us 3 equals 9a. And when we divide by 9, we get a equals 3/9, which is going to reduce to 1/3. So now what we'll do is come back over here. We now know that a is 1/3. So here is the equation of our parabola. You can always check these things on Desmos. Just plug it in. You'll see that the vertex is 1, -4, and it goes through the point -2, -1.